Ladies and gentlemen, can someone please explain to me why I should care what John Bolton thinks about anything, especially foreign policy? He only was hired as a yes man to appease both Democrats and Republicans. Now people are saying, oh, I'd love to see Trump discredit this guy. He's a Republican. He was in his administration. Nobody cared what Bolton thought about anything. Nobody cared. He replaced an establishment figure. He was hired simply to allow Trump to be the good cop, and he was the bad cop, because everyone knows he looks like a homeless walrus. The homeless walrus was basically, willing to engage in any military intervention to remove any leadership of any country. So Trump hired him, and now we find out that he essentially betrayed President Trump. I mean, where were these people during President Obama and President Bush's administration? Number one. Number two, he's a Republican who doesn't like Trump. So what? That's exactly why I'm voting Trump 2020, because Bolton can't stand him. And the feeling's mutual. If you're voting for Trump in 2020, you knew that Bolton was not there for his vast foreign policy knowledge, which is non-existent. You might as well, look, Bill Kristol, Max Boot, John Bolton was part of the administration, but John Bolton will very likely be saying, oh yeah, I think a Clinton 2020 should, Clinton's running, okay, it's not going to be the guy who defeated Cornflakes and the person who failed her DNA test and the person who was cheated, and God bless him, I wish him well. I only want Bernie Sanders healthy and happy, even though I disagree with him vehemently on a lot of things now. But you have the New York Times, Bolton objected to Ukraine pressure campaign. Well, number one, it wasn't a pressure campaign. Number two, if Biden committed wrongdoing, yeah, we need to find out. Sorry. Not everything revolves around the Democratic Party chances of electoral victory. Sorry. You have enough advantages. You have Hollywood. You have basically all of media. I mean, Shepard Smith left, and it was like, everyone was, it was like the end of everyone's life that he left. There were more people upset at CNN, MSNBC, and the Washington Post and New York Times than actual people who vote Trump. I went from Bernie Sanders to Jill Stein to President Trump, and it's extremely logical because people like Bolton now don't like Trump. He's pulling out of conflicts, regional just catastrophes that were started by Bush and then continued by President Obama. In fact, our presence in the country he's pulling troops out of began under President Obama, the Nobel Peace Prize winner. Bolton was not there for his foreign policy expertise. Nobody cares what he thinks. The fact that he betrayed the White House is just yet another reason people are going to vote for Trump. This doesn't show that Trump, even Republicans and Democrats are the same. The absolute same. There is no, you get these people like, will it be interesting watching Trump try to discredit, Democrat John Bolton? Yeah, he's basically a Democrat. When you have Hollywood celebrities hanging out with George W. Bush, he's basically a Democrat. Then why was he hired by Trump? To appease both establishment Democrats and Republicans. That's why he was let go. You think if he was there for his immense wisdom, that he would have been let go so quickly or relatively quickly? Breaking: Bolton instructed aide to report Giuliani pressure campaign to White House. I'm not part of whatever drug deal Rudy and Mulvaney are cooking up. Oh, you're so ethical, John Bolton. Why don't you go work for Clinton 2020? I'm sure she'll hire you. Actually, she won't, but she'll hire somebody more polished, liberal, but just as hawkish and militant and thirsty for military conquest. President Trump is today's version of punk music from the 70s and 80s and 90s. And there's still some good punk bands, but you can look, this world has, swallowed up everything good. Have tried to, whatever, don't get me started. From comedy to music to Hollywood, don't get me started. Democrats the media longs for this mythical time when Republicans and Democrats were on the same page. But now, Orange Monster Trump is abandoning our allies. There's always a reason for military intervention. There's never not a reason. There's always a reason to put American soldiers in between two factions. There's never, the dominoes were falling in Vietnam. We had to bring Americans in. It was the Cold War. We had, it was the Truman Doctrine, and, we had to prevent the spread of communism. Well, this person was, hurting his own people. We had to oust this, remove this faction from this country. And well, guess what? We've stayed there forever now. In all of these countries, not Vietnam, but eventually we left. We had to leave. We have to leave also the places we're at now. This is the longest running foreign policy intervention in American history. One of the longest in world history. You talk about 20 years of just continual, we've been in a region of the world that doesn't even want us. And, it's convoluted. Some people want us, some people don't, but it's not our region of the world. The road to you-know-where is paved with good intentions. So, it's like President Trump is upending everything. President Trump is upending everything. And this is why I'm voting for him. I was told the other day, I'd vote for Mitt Romney over Trump. That's why I'm voting for Trump, because you're voting for mittens. You're voting for mittens, Romney. Yes. That's why I'm voting for Trump. I want to scale back U.S. foreign policy. And again, the Ukraine call was not a campaign finance violation, according to the Justice Department. It was not a pressure campaign, according to Zelensky, the leader of the Ukraine. There was literally no quid pro quo there, aside from Democrats saying, well, Trump insinuated this. There's already an investigation that the DOJ has conducted. There are already Politico articles and articles at The Hill stating that Democrats and proving that Democrats reached out to Ukrainian officials. Now we're during the election, they're the ones. So now we're finding Bolton wanted White House lawyers alerted to Ukraine efforts, called it a drug deal. So what? Tell me why this is important, other than to Trump suspects a spiteful John Bolton behind Ukraine leaks. Well, of course. John Bolton worked with Democrats. This whole thing is, the guy was let go. He was never really wanted. He's a hawk. He's the absolute opposite of what he's in office from April 9th, 2018 to September 10th, 2019. They should have fired him the next day. I don't even want to get into that. The response to the most catastrophic day in U.S. history was formulated by people like John Bolton. The problems we have, most of the problems we have, especially in that region of the world now, are because of people like Bolton and Hillary Clinton, who voted for the quagmires that George W. Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld created, and that President Obama was elected initially to reverse, but then just continued. In his own way, continued. And asked the people of Libya, started more chaos and mayhem. This is interesting. It's interesting that we should trust these people, from the New York Times to the intelligence community to establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans. Tell me what they've done to bring the world closer to peace. They've done the opposite, and we're supposed to embrace them and long for a day when, people were civil to one another. Well, you're talking about the establishment. And the Washington establishment always found a way to media always gravitated towards either the Bush administration or Obama's administration. With Trump, he's like this, the hyperbole. There's only hyperbole that exists with Trump. And the DNC, after the DNC emails where we actually found out that Democrats were cheating, they said the truth about us, written by our own hands, will be exactly the same as gossip about Trump. So there have been no emails saying that Trump was cheating somebody, or, like, for example, there's 500 conflicts of interest from a Clinton Foundation official in the campaign emails that actually talks about the conflicts of interest. You don't have that, anything, even though the Washington Post is trying to get that type of information. But you don't have those emails. You don't have that documentation. But what they've done is they've swept everything under the rug. And so now you have John Bolton with, alerting White House lawyers and New York Times. John Bolton instructed Fiona Hill to notify the chief lawyer for the National Security Council that Rudy Giuliani was working with Mick Mulvaney on a rogue operation with legal implications. So what? I don't care what Bolton told somebody. Everyone who's fired from Trump, whether it's Bolton or Scaramucci, you can look at the list of people who were loyal to Trump, and then Michael Cohen. You could look at the list of people who, it's so interesting. They're loyal to Trump, and then they get fired, and then they're like, or they resign, and then suddenly they just have a change of heart, and they're like, oh, look, media, look, I'm just like, I want to share my story with you. Nobody cares. This doesn't affect independent voters. The people who voted for Clinton are going to vote for Clinton again. She's running again. It's not going to be Bolton or Warren. Okay? Democrats, stop convincing yourself you're going to have another theatrical performance. We have 20 candidates. Look how fair and neutral we are. We're so fair and neutral. Look at us. It's like, who are you kidding? Okay, and here's a newsflash. Tulsi Gabbard is above, 0.8% in the polls, or 1%. This is absurd. So Andrew Yang is above 3%. So it's like, it's like you're looking at Andrew Yang. He's above 3%. So, I mean, he's 3%, but he should be like a 10 or 12%. So should Tulsi Gabbard. The whole thing is completely out of whack. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? The whole thing's completely rigged anyway. Both Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard were saying that. You can disagree with Andrew Yang. You can disagree with Tulsi Gabbard. But their ideas, and I don't agree with a lot of their ideas. I mean, I used to, and now I don't. Because I don't think they're feasible. But it doesn't matter. They're actually honest. Andrew Yang is honest. Tulsi Gabbard is honest. This is a bad thing for the Democratic Party. You don't want someone honest who believes. You want someone who... don't tell me that Amy Klobuchar is as popular as those two that I mentioned just now. Okay, because that's not reality. So this is the world we live in. And don't tell me that Biden is number one in the Democratic Party, or Warren has surpassed him in some polls, and they're legitimate contenders to defeat President Trump. Because Trump has his base is tens of millions of Americans who are good people, wonderful people, who just happen to disagree with Democrats. They're not supremacists. They're not horrible bigots. They're not anything. Trump won states and counties that voted for both President Clinton and President Obama. So try again with the nonsensical propaganda. But the point is, we're finding out now that John Bolton basically worked with Democrats to, President Trump. Okay. Tell me why anyone should care. Democrats are going to say, you see, even Republicans don't like him. That's why we're voting for him. That's why I'm voting for him. Well, then that would make even more sense, because I voted initially for Bernie Sanders and then Jill Stein, and then I'm voting for President Trump. Foreign policy is my most important issue. I want to scale back U.S. foreign policy. Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld, George W. Bush, John Bolton, he wasn't there for his foreign policy expertise. He was there to show people, hey, you know what? I got this guy who wants to really, overthrow your government, so you probably want to listen to me. And so the point here is that nobody cares what Bolton thinks about the Ukraine. It's not even a controversy. They're not impeaching Trump. They're looking into trying to impeach Trump. They're eventually going to impeach Trump to coincide with, and I've been saying this forever, everything's to pave the way for the golden muumuu. Madam Cyberhack is going to run again. Clinton's going to be the nominee. Okay? They're not going to roll into 2020 with like $2 in fundraising. Considering they outspent Trump 2-1, and they lost the Electoral College, and they won the popular vote, they literally spent $600 million more than Trump. I would hope that they would. They spent $600 million more than Trump. They had the most favorable coverage possible. They cheated Bernie Sanders. I mean, I would hope that they would get 3 million more votes than Trump. And so, but nobody cares about the popular vote. Who cares about the popular vote? Democrats do, but then they say that Russia interfered in the election, but they won the popular vote. How does that work? Oh, well, the swing states? Okay, which ads? Which Facebook ads? Oh, you mean swing state voters didn't want a candidate that had a political party that cheated Bernie Sanders? Well, I'm sorry, you probably shouldn't cheat Bernie Sanders then. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. I mean, you can go into it here. Bolton, White House lawyer, alerted Ukraine efforts. Oh my God, how ethical and moral of Bolton. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a good guy. Bolton wanted White House lawyers alerted. Who cares? He called it a drug deal. Oh my God. What a mobster president. You've got nothing on him. You have a complete rap sheet. You have a litany of crimes of Clinton. But then... And they're still investigating it, by the way. The Clinton email investigation. There's 130 people now implicated because they sent classified intelligence to Clinton. Oh, that's right. They engaged in criminal conduct because they sent classified intelligence outside the United States government. Yeah, it's retroactively classified. Sorry, they got Jeffrey Sterling on that, who actually was a true, courageous, ethical. He's a hero. Jeffrey Sterling is a hero. And they had retroactively classified information. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. John Bolton alerted the authorities to Rudy Giuliani's activities. Yeah, Giuliani is shivering in his boots. Oh my goodness, he's so scared. Trump is so scared. After everything they have accused Trump of, I mean, anything wrong in the universe was Trump's fault. Yet they can't impeach him. Eventually they will, but I mean it's going to be based on nonsense anyway. By the way, I thought he obstructed the Mueller probe. That was just they don't care about that anymore. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. So Bolton betrayed Trump, and this is a non-issue. And if it becomes more of an issue, it will just bolster every reason to vote President Trump. If you want Americans being brought home to their families, to their sons, their daughters, their wives, their husbands, their families, their parents, then vote Trump. Because if you vote Democrat, you're going to get, we have to stay there because of this and that and this and that. Oh, gee, that's wonderful. When was there a military intervention? When was there a military conflict where there weren't good reasons to go in or stay? There's always a great reason to go in and stay. The thing is, you can't stay forever. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel.